Okay. Cheers, everyone. This is Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor, and you're watching Virtual Tea Time with Amy. And today, my special guest is Nancy Rodriguez, and this is a very fun special guest. you'll
Thank
you'll
you.
find out why. But thank you, Nancy, for being here.
My pleasure.
So before we get started, let's talk about where we're calling from and what we're drinking. So, Nancy, where are you calling from, and what are you drinking?
I am calling from Fairfax Station, Virginia, which is in the suburbs of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I am drinking from my special teacup that I got
Oh,
at the gift shop at Westminster Abbey a couple of years
I
ago.
love it.
I know. And I am drinking Harney and Sons Tower of London tea.
Ooh, very nice. I
It is
like
very
that.
good.
I have
Yeah.
not tried that one.
Yes. Of course, the caffeine will probably keep me up all night, but it's good. It's good. So
I
cheers.
love it. Cheers.
Yes.
So I'm drinking, actually, this one was a tea that was a gift to me. So this was, I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like a black tea with some floral notes in it and orange. And
Very
it's
nice.
really good. And even like a hint of mint. It's got a little bit of everything, but it's really
Oh,
good. And
good.
then I have it in my fun little long May She Rain queen teacup.
Oh, very nice. I
Which
see that.
actually I got from a tea shop here in Florida, but it is a Withered like tea shop cup. So they found it I guess at Withered and it made its way to Florida.
Good.
Oh yes, and speaking of Florida, I'm calling from Altamont Springs in Florida, which is roughly Orlando for people who are outside of Orlando who don't
Right.
know. And so I love what you're wearing today, Nancy, because I told you that you look very Kate Middleton-esque.
Oh,
And I feel like that is a very Kate Middleton-esque look.
thank you. You flattery and tea will get you everywhere. That's what I tell everyone. Throw in a little chocolate and you're done.
I
But
love it.
I appreciate that. That profile picture that you first mentioned, that the hair was
Yes.
pulled back, but I thought, man, when she sees me on camera, she is not going to say that.
Yes. Oh, I am. Yeah, I thought it right when you popped on. I was like, I'll save it, but I thought that.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yes, yes. So, okay, so Nancy, let's
Yes.
talk about how we know each other.
Well,
So,
do you want to start or shall I?
why don't you? I'll let you start since you know, like, I mean, I guess the exact timeline. Like, who? And you said was it your sister that lives in Oviedo? Who is it?
She does. I have two
Okay.
sisters that live in Oviedo. My oldest sister, Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
I have thrown a couple of teas. I'm a military wife, and we have the group called Gold Star Families, those who have lost loved ones in active duty. And
Mm-hmm.
I threw a couple of teas last year, one for Gold Star Families, one for our military spouses group through the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister knows what a huge Anglophile I am, that, I wake up every morning just craving my tea, things like that. And she sent me a flyer of yours that she had found. Her daughter was getting married and she was looking into options for showers, and she saw your flyer and she sent it to me. She said, you could totally do this.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
awesome.
I am also a substitute teacher in the meantime. And that day, my wheels were turning, and I was jotting down names and fun games and what teas I would serve and things like that. And so it was just kind of that brainchild. And after I saw one of your posts last year,
Mm-hmm.
um, where you had kind of revealed how it's a very personal thing for you to start this business.
Right.
That's when I
Mm-hmm.
thought, well, I need to I had been thinking about it anyway. And that's when I reached out to you and said, hey, can you throw me a lifeline here and tell me how you got
Right.
started and give me a hint? So that's how
Absolutely.
you and I introduced each other. Yes.
Yes, which was so cool. It was really cool to hear that. Yeah, that just one of my random flyers had made its way to outside
Right,
DC. Yeah,
Virginia.
yeah, that was super cool. And yeah, and just that I was excited that one of my posts that uh, you know, I guess inspired you or whatever, like just kind of resonated with you, I should say. Yeah,
Absolutely.
of like let's get on this tea business dream. So I
Yes.
supported that.
Yes.
And I love the name of your company that you chose. So tell everyone the name of your company.
Well, it's really funny. I was going through different things, and I was at a store and I saw these little saucers, and they had teacups and saucers. They had a leopard print on them.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought, it was the funniest thing, I thought, tea with a tart. And I could put on my best East Enders accent,
Oh my gosh.
and give little tea parties with my really tight leopard skin pants and everything. But I knew that tea with a tart was a little too cheesy, and some people would not get me. So, but
Right.
that would be my sense of humor. I thought maybe that would be a good theme
I
tea,
think
tea with a tart.
yes. Yeah, I was like,
But
that's hilarious. Yeah, but the average American may not know what a tart is.
so I just thought I wanted more. I wanted something classier too,
Right.
and because that's what tea parties are, and they're
Right.
elegant and
Mhm.
they're feminine, and I wanted something like that. But I didn't just want tea party in the name. I also wanted to express that I am a big Anglophile, and
Mhm.
I've been a big follower of things going on in Britain since I was a teenager. So I thought by including the cup and the crown, it just came together, and the alliteration of the two C's also
Yes.
worked very well. So
Yes.
I jotted a few down, but that was the one that kept coming to the top of the list.
I love it. So yeah,
Thank you.
so cup and crown is what
Cup and
won
crown.
over. I
Yeah,
love it.
cup and
It's so
crown.
cute.
You can find me on Facebook now. So
Yes. Yes. And think I put for people watching, I put the link. It should be just facebook.com/cup and crown, but I'll check it later and make sure that it takes you to the right place.
perfect. Thank you. For anybody coming from Florida, coming up to Virginia, come look me up, please.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So, okay, so how did you get into all of this? Like, where does your Anglophile story come from? Your tea collection? Where does it all start?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I wonder if it's not somehow a little bit genetic. Both of my parental lines go back to England. My mother's maiden name is Allen. My dad's, well, my maiden name is Barker. And I have a cousin who has actually traced our lineage all the way back to, if not beyond, William the Conqueror. And
Wow.
yes, and then coming here to Virginia, believe it or not, they actually do cross over for me. I do have English ancestry that came to England, or excuse me, that came to Virginia. And it turns out that I'm only about a 45-minute drive from the seat of where my lineage goes through, a Daniel Carroll of Carrollton.
Oh my gosh.
And I find all that fascinating. I really, when we moved to Virginia through the military, I became an American history buff, and it really piqued my interest, especially where the lines of England and the United States crossed in the time of the Revolution. But it kind of goes back further than that. Putting it all on the table there is I was 14 years old, turning on the tunes to Duran Duran, and in love with John Taylor. I bleached the bangs, I wore the jazz shoes, things like that. And they were, English bands were what dominated the airwaves at the time. And that's what I just really got into, and started looking at things online. It wasn't online, but in books and where you could read about it. And it just never left me, and it's always grown with me. And my teacups,
Yes.
I have to tell you, that is all from my wonderful, loving, spoiling husband,
Wow.
who has gifted me with, how many do I have? I think 9 Royal Albert teacup sets.
Oh, wow.
And
Whoa,
some of them are
that's very
anniversary
nice.
editions. Yes, they're lovely. And tea that I have a special teapot that he picked. And there's a very brief story of, I had Pinterested a lot of teapots.
Yeah.
That was the one I kept coming back to. And one Christmas, I opened up the teapot and I said, "How did you know?" He said, "How did I know what?" I said, "How did you know that? Of all the teapots you'd gotten, that was the one I wanted most." He said, "I just looked at it and I knew that one was you."
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's amazing. So he wasn't, he wasn't sneaking around on Pinterest.
No, he has no idea what Pinterest is. He's like, "Pin what?" No, it was a lucky guess, and a very, very good lucky guess. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's really, really cool.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Very sweet.
So I didn't know that about what age that happened for you. So I was the exact same age. I was 14 when my England obsession started as well.
That's funny.
And it was a student trip over there, which definitely helped. But part of it was that when you're over there, all of the shops have all the postcard stands and everything out. So that was when Prince William had just turned 16 and had his 16th birthday photo shoot. So Prince William's face was everywhere on all the postcards. And I fell in love with Prince William right away.
He is my favorite too.
So that is how I basically like kind of got like super connected as you said, like a 14-year-old girl falling in love with like some star over there.
Yeah, exactly. A prince nonetheless. We
That's
have
right.
high expectations.
That's right. Yeah, so that's awesome though. Okay, so did you say that you've done like the DNA type testing for like how you guys got it traced that far back, or is it all like old school family tracing?
My cousin, my husband's had his done,
Mm-hmm.
and with the last name of Rodriguez, his goes back to Spain, Italy,
Oh, cool.
other parts of the Mediterranean. I have not had mine actually tested. He keeps saying we need to get it done,
Mm-hmm.
but it's my cousin. I do have a cousin who lives in the Midwest, Chicago area, by the way.
Wonderful.
And he delves into our family history, and he has, I mean, that is his passion, and he has
Oh,
really done just a splendid job getting
mm-hmm.
all those lines connected and taking us back. And
Right.
really, really fascinating to see that. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I need to do that because I mean, people ask me all the time, given this is my business and my obsession,
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
And all I know is that from my dad's side, the name Turner is, I mean, it's straight up like Scottish or whatever. Like they've got their own, plaid or whatever. But I don't know anything about family members that like, don't know specifics. But from my mom's side, they kept track of the family history. I call it the old school way, where literally it was all written down and
Right.
like like someone would type it up on a typewriter. Like it's like before the computers.
Hey, I remember typewriters, so hold on. Don't laugh too hard.
It's like I remember them. I don't remember I remember playing on them.
Fabulous. Hold on, let me go. I gotta go touch up my roots and get that wrinkle out. Hold on. Typewriters, yes.
I love it. But so all I remember from it, I do have a copy of it. And actually, my Aunt Kathy did a revision of it recently, where it catches up with everybody all the way up until like my daughter, who's like 2.5 now. But yeah, so that's cool. But it's Cecil B. Ayres moved here from Ireland. So as far as I know, I'm Irish, and I joke with other Brits that I know. They say it's like I know that neither side wants me to claim English. The English don't want me to claim them, and the Irish don't want me to claim English. But I was like, as an American, it's like, well, close enough.
Exactly.
But if you're over there, you're like, no, not close enough. So there might be something else running around. But I am divorced, but Piper's dad actually had a connection, his ancestors to. Do you know the story of the two princes in the Tower of London?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So one of his ancestors is part of one of there's like two theories that are listed, like that are legit enough to be listed in the exhibit. Right. One of his ancestors is involved in one of the theories. He was like, his name is Lord Terrell, and he apparently was some kind of like middleman between Richard and like whoever actually killed the boys. So it's both like he must have found it then.
Oh my God.
But and then he got sent off to Virginia. I'm guessing when that didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't work out. And so there's a Terrell County in Virginia that apparently was like, they say it's like kind of a swampland. He didn't get a real nice piece of land.
I'm going to go research that.
I
will email you with anything I find on that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So that was cool. That and we went. I took him to England when we were married and stuff. And he's like, I have to show you my homeland. And and he knew that story anyway. And then when we got to the Tower of London, I was like, oh my God, it's even in the exhibit. Like, pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was like my closest connection I could claim to England, since I haven't done like the DNA test yet.
That is fascinating. You shouldn't lose that story either. That's something.
No, I know.
Don't cover that up. I think that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be sure to pass it on to Piper, my daughter. Like, guess what? Your ancestor. Yeah.
I'm sure we all have skeletons in the closet. I mean, yours is a little more literal. Hers is a little more literal, but
right.
Yeah.
You got two little Prince boy skeletons. Oh my goodness. So that's awesome.
Yes, that is great. And you should get that history. I always wonder if somebody's going to ask me that too. Have you actually had your DNA tested? And
Right,
I'm
right.
going to pull out this massive scroll of paper. No, but my cousin.
Yeah, I know. You're like, no, we did it like the original way.
Yes. The typewriter.
The typewriter way.
Very good.
Oh, wow.
My goodness.
So, so I know that this whole COVID-19 thing kind of threw a wrench into a lot of people's plans.
Yes.
How is it? I guess, where are you at with things, or do you want to talk about it live?
Sure.
What kind of where you are with things business wise?
Yes. Really, still just at the beginning phase, and not quite sure how to get things off the ground because of what's going on. So I got the website, when all this started and everything was shut down. I had just purchased my domain name, and the governor of Virginia came on and said schools are closed indefinitely. And with a senior in high school, one who was almost 16, and my special needs daughter, elementary, I sat on the couch and cried. I was like, you've got to be kidding me with this. A lot of, and everybody can say that, a lot of hopes and expectations dashed and not going to happen. But that evening, I was actually scheduled to talk to my soon-to-be nephew-in-law, hey Tanner, and he said, this is where your photography needs to really come into play. So I do dabble in photography, and so if you go to my website, you can see pictures of my teacups and stuff like that. I figure instead of paying for them, if I can make a photo that goes along or can accompany any of my blogs, then I would do that. So
and they are amazing, by the way. Like,
you're very
you photograph like like you say dabble, but I'm like, they look like expert photos for.
Well, it was doing teas or doing photography, and right now I'm kind of doing both because I'm also photographing the seniors from our neighborhood right now, so that they have something to take away from this. But anyways, I got very excited about taking the pictures for the website, and then I got into building the website, which for somebody who's not technically inclined, that was quite an ordeal. So I feel like I've gotten a pretty good start and a good foundation for the website. Got the Facebook up and running. And I have a business manager who's kind of dragging me, and she's like, you can do this, you can do this. But sort of like you're doing your virtual tea party in a box. She was inspired by the wine tastings that all the wineries across the country are doing right now. And she said, let's put together tea tastings, put together a box of teas that you want people to taste. And so I have finally accumulated everything that I need for that. Doing the talking points. I feel like my customer a lot of times, even just in conversation, is the one who thinks that the only tea out there is either British breakfast or English breakfast tea or Earl Grey. And I work with a lot of people, and I'm like, so are you a coffee or tea drinker? They say, I'm a tea drinker. What tea are you drinking? English breakfast, like,
That's
I'm like, I'm back tomorrow. I'm bringing you samples of something else. And I always get this, oh my gosh, I had no idea that tea could taste so good, or that there were so many things out there. So that's where I think this, tea tasting would come into play. And I'm hoping, crossing fingers, by the Queen's birthday celebration, not that there will be one, but the weekend of June 12th, 13th, I'm hoping to have these boxes ready to go for either people to do a personal tasting on their own, or to do through the Zoom, to do a group party tasting, something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is also still in the planning stages, but I have invested in that and trying to work toward that.
Right. I love that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And I understand, there's a lot to that logistically and getting everything ready, like you said, getting your supplies, your boxes, getting it all planned.
Yes.
So good job.
And trying to be an elementary school teacher and being a photographer and still cleaning house and things like that.
Exactly.
It is a balancing act for sure.
Right. Yeah. Still doing all your normal things, but now you're also a teacher.
Yes.
Not a home teacher.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is, I'm sure. And what is like what's the stage in your area as far as like here they've started, I guess, phase one of opening things. So like we have, what do we have? It's like certain places I think are open, certain restaurants are open. I don't know if they have to have outdoor seating, but it's like 25% capacity. Like they're not allowed to have more than that in them.
Okay.
And I think I heard hair salons are opening. Oh, I guess it's today, Monday. So this week. But I think they're probably supposed to do the same thing where it's like one in, one out, like that, not
Okay.
have people
Yes.
sitting next to each other.
Right.
So where are you guys at with, yeah.
Our governor has said that I think he was hoping for it to be next week, and now it's still going to be a couple of weeks because I think they experienced a spike in something, so that nope, we have to keep pushing the start date back. As you know, Washington D.C. has one of the highest rates.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yes. So so all of that unfortunately has been pushed back still. I'm looking at my two teenage boys, and if the Beatles were popular still, that the haircuts would be a good thing. But right now, it's not. Really quite anxious for the barbershops to open. Anxious to get back out there to restaurants, but anxious to sort of pound the pavement with this whole Tea Party and marketing idea that's running through my head. No, we are still quite a bit a ways from things going back to what we would call normal.
Right. Yeah, we're far from that as well too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as live events go, or live events of like more than 10 people.
Yes.
So
yeah. We could do some distancing parties in our backyard. We have a nice deck, and we, tell friends, bring whatever you want, but we'll all be 6 feet apart.
Oh, that's fun. I've heard about people doing that. Yeah, where it's like they all bring their blankets and set up on like
yes,
far away.
Yes, and that can be nice.
Yeah.
Can't stay shut up forever.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, and then you said, unfortunately, that your weather is not so nice. So, like here, we get outside plenty, just like Piper and I will go feed the ducks, whatever, like just walking around. But you said you're about to have freezing temperatures again.
We just had them.
Oh, you just had them.
We think last night we have planted an herb and vegetable garden, and some of those plants are going to have to be pulled and started over again. We didn't expect these couple of dips in the temperatures, but I think by Friday we are supposed to be at 85, and I think it's going to level off. Spring kind of comes and goes in a blink up here, and we do this up and down. 2 days ago, we were outside in shorts and tank tops, and that night it dropped down to 32 degrees, and we were back in sweaters and jeans. So it's just kind of a back and forth, but Northern Virginia, if anybody's ever interested, if you're ever come up this way, living up here is like being in the middle of a national park. There are so many trees, and there are national parks. In fact, the path between two of them runs right across our backyard.
Cool.
And it's lovely. So we can get on that path and we can do the walking. We've seen more people out and about than we have ever seen before on that trail, as you can imagine, because that's what people do right now during this quarantine.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah. I haven't been to Virginia in a while, but my best friend from college, Molly, lives there. And
Roanoke?
Yep, in Roanoke. Right. And yes, you remember it. And
I do remember.
And she and her husband absolutely love the area. I mean, they're constantly hiking. They they have a son who's almost Piper's age. I think he's like maybe 2 months younger, just a couple months younger. And they just took him like hiking, and he, just like loves running all around outside. And they're about to have their second child, actually, like any day now. Like Molly's ready. She's trying to get the baby out.
I remember that.
I know. But yeah, they love it. And when I've been there to visit, like we've gone on some trails and stuff. And yeah, it is really pretty there. But I definitely, even though I was born in Indiana, I was definitely made for Florida. I love being hot. Like people who claim that the summers are too hot, but they like the rest of it. I'm like, nope, summers are great.
Yes.
Like, that's the heat that I want for the beach and the pool.
Very good. Well, if you've never seen a Virginia fall, it is incomparable. And if you get to come up and see your friends at that time, it is just truly spectacular. It's lovely.
Okay, I'll have to remember that. And yeah, because in Indiana, I mean, especially in like southern Indiana, there's hills and stuff, so it gets very pretty in the fall there. There's Cumberland Gap State Park that I've been to, and but I still, the people who say they miss the seasons, I'm like, I don't. I like these seasons I have here.
See, I'm from Jacksonville. Normally,
I didn't know that.
Yes, from Jacksonville, Florida. That's my parents still live there. Before that, it was Valdosta, Georgia, little teeny tiny. Before it was a teeny tiny little speck. Right. It's grown quite a bit since then. But I am a Southern girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and so like I said, my parents still live there. My brother he just moved out of there. He went to Savannah. But we moved up to Virginia as a military family. The first time we came up here was the summer of 2007. We have since been to Coronado, California, and come back. Okay. But when we went, I was heartsick. When we left for California, I could not wait to get back to Virginia.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
Love even the first winter? Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the winters are still kind of mild, right?
Snow is great. Yeah. My favorite kind of snow is the kind that falls like this much and it melts 2 days later. But we have lived through 2 what we call snowmageddons, and where the snow is up to my waist, and that doesn't go away quickly or easily, and it does make a bit of a mess.
Yes, and it gets really ugly, like the last bits when you're waiting for it to melt.
Yes. And then it just turns black. Everybody's like, what is that black? Yeah, that's snow. That's snow and it's cloud. So I think we had 2 light dustings this year.
Oh, okay.
That's all we had. We've had a very mild winter. Lovely spring, and wondering what's going to happen with summer. I predicting it might be very hot since we really didn't get low temperatures. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've been in Florida, and I miss my family, and I miss Disney World, and I miss the beach once in a while. But I am a jeans and sweater kind of girl. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like I was born in Indiana, but made for Florida. You were born in Florida, but you were made for the season.
I'll high five you on the way down, honey. Just. We can house swap if we ever get sick.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, I'll be like, can I just come see snow for 2 days and then run back home?
If the airports are running and you can get out before it gets really bad,
right.
Absolutely. I'm all about it.
That's great. So remind me, have you been to England then? Like, have you been on trips and stuff over there?
I have only been once.
Okay.
And boy, it was a dream trip. My husband and I were enjoying, because we have basements up here in Virginia. Yeah. And we were having an evening to ourselves down in the basement, and we were listening to old 80s songs and Howard Jones and Duran Duran and Brian Ferry and all these things. And I don't remember what song came on, but I burst into tears and I just said, I have just got to go. I have to go. You have got to let me go. And this to a man who has seen the Mediterranean and traveled down to the Caribbean, things like that, because of his job as a naval helicopter pilot. And he just said, you should grab your mom and go. And next morning, I just didn't even broach it. I'm like, he probably doesn't even remember saying that. I bet he doesn't even remember that. So I waited a couple of weeks and I said something about it again. He says, I told you, call your mom. And so I did. Now, my dad was like, what do you mean, your mom? What about me? Well, I love my dad to pieces, and I would have loved to have taken both of them, but my dad was not able to get around and be the tourist. And so we made the plans, and my sister Tanya, the one who tipped me off to you, she came with us, and it was just a whirlwind of fun, just amazing. Every September, I get that anniversary feeling that I'm supposed to be there again. I'm supposed to be there again. So it would never be long enough. It really would never be long enough. And trying to whittle down what I could fit in 5 days.
Oh, yeah, that's really rough. Yeah.
Yes.
There's so much, I know. Yeah, there's too much to do.
Yes. Too many gorgeous old stately homes with so much history to go and visit. I would love to, and can't we do this being in our line of business? Is it not possible to go and take a countryside tour of all the tiny little quaint tea shops and write that off? Is that
I think so. I've said, that's research and development. That's R&D.
If you need a buddy, let me know. I keep joking. I'm like, I think that ought to be a tax write-off.
Yeah. I feel like it would be, right? Like, I don't know, taxes. Someone who knows taxes is watching, comment.
I know, exactly. Please pipe in,
Right,
making
right.
all
I'm pretty
comments.
sure.
Yes. Any loopholes?
Right,
All
right.
welcome.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
loopholes, yeah, so we can go to England. That'd be awesome.
Yes, it would be. Yes, I would love
Yeah.
that. And you, was your the trip you made, was that the only one? Have you been back since?
So I actually went, it gets ridiculous because I kind of forget every time. It's been like 4 or 5 times. So since the year 2000. So when I went there, that was like United Kingdom and Ireland, and it was a 3 week student trip, and we kind of hopped around. But we were in Reading, England for a few nights. We had like homestays, so that was where I met my friend Claire because her family was my homestay. So Claire and I have stayed in touch for 20 years now. This is our 20th anniversary, and we accidentally started a tradition of seeing each other every 2 years. Either she was here or I was there, and so for the first 10 years, it was an accident, and then after that, we're like, well, now we can't let this die,
Right.
so we keep making sure. So like in 2018, we got it in like right under the wire. I came like right after Christmas and was there like for New Year's, so it was like into 2019, but we still technically got it in the even year.
That's true.
20, so,
That is wonderful, though.
yeah, so like 2020, we actually were going to try and do something crazy different. This is before, of course, all the COVID stuff, but we were going to try and do maybe meet up in Costa Rica or something kind of cool. And now, like, travel is all kind of questionable. So we might have to squeeze it in under the wire again, like towards the end of the year.
Well, I
And
hope you can.
yeah, I know. I
Yes,
hope
if
so
everything
too.
opens up by then.
Right, right. Yeah. So hopefully that's what we'll do. But yeah, I've been, and then I've studied abroad there in college, which was like almost 3 months long. And let's see. And so I got to see Claire just for a little bit then, but she was busy at university and she went to Cardiff and I was in London. So we like had to, just pop over and see each other for like a day or something. But when you mentioned September, so that was when we went to England for the study abroad thing. So every year in September, since I've had a kid, I've now easily forget. but but before that, I was known for the one in the group to bum everyone out by sending them a happy anniversary text to remind them, like, hey guys, remember 10 years ago? We went to have the best time of our lives.
I said that to my mom and my sister. I'm like, can you believe X number of years ago we were standing here?
Right, right.
Let's go back.
But my friend Molly, who's my best friend from college, so she was on this study abroad trip. So she went to my university back in Indiana, but she was a totally different major. So I only met her because she happened to be roomed with me in London. And it's funny because I count September 5th as our anniversary date because it's like we left Indiana and headed there on the 5th, but I guess we technically arrived on the 6th. So
You actually have an argument over the date.
yeah, it's just kind of like it's not on her radar. Like I always end up like texting her a day before she's ready to hear it. Yeah, but so I understand, yeah, the fall feeling of going off to England.
Yes. And actually it starts for me a little bit early because I did so much reading and so much planning
Oh yeah.
and aerial views of maps and going here and watching Rick Steves and his little off the beaten path tours and things that I wanted to see. And so it starts for me like in August. I'm like, oh, that's right, I was sitting in front of the computer and doing this and this. So I'll still take virtual tours, and sometimes I can still in my head. I had one day where I let my mom go by themselves, and I'm like, I'm doing this walking tour, and I can still go through it in my head exactly where everything was and what I saw, and
that's so cool.
And I did 2 huge photo albums of my experience, and so I'll pull those out and look at that sometimes too.
Oh, that's really nice.
So, yeah.
Was there a place that okay, so I'll ask what your favorite place was that you visited, but also, or more specifically, like, was there a place that you were kind of surprised, like there was more to it than what you were expecting or something like that?
Wow.
Like, I can give the opposite example. So like the Tower Bridge is like my favorite thing in the world. Like it's just a weird thing for me just looking at a picture of it. Like that's kind of like what ties me in somehow
It's so
to England. Like I love it.
yeah.
But when I finally went to the up in the exhibition for it in 2012, I was like, what? This is like, it wasn't a very exciting like exhibit.
Oh,
Like I was kind of, and this was, you know, there are things that if I said weren't exciting in 2006, I blame it on because I was a college student and like we were too busy just having fun, being like hanging out as friends, and we probably missed some stuff
no,
that could have been cool. But by 2012, I was married and I brought my husband there. Like I was ready to
right.
experience it, and I
Right.
just thought it was just a little underwhelming. So I tell people, I'm like, don't waste your time and money on going in the exhibit, but go to visit the Tower Bridge daytime and nighttime. Like it's just beautiful on its own.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but like when we went up in it, like you get to technically walk across the walkways, but they're all enclosed now, so you don't feel it doesn't feel that. I mean, I guess if you're really don't like heights, it probably still is cool. But for me, I was like, oh man, like take the walls down. Feel what it feels.
We did do that. We went up there, and I do have a bit of acrophobia, and
Okay. So what did you think of it?
stepping onto the glass and being able to see straight down,
Uh-huh.
really, it did have an effect on me. But I saw a couple people laying down because for those who don't know, you look up and there's a mirror that you can see
Mm-hmm.
where you can see everything down below. And I saw somebody take a picture. And I thought the photographer in me kicked in, and I'm like, no, I am not missing that shot.
Yeah.
And so it got me out onto now. You have those cross beams, and
Mm-hmm.
I was standing above the cross
Oh
beam.
my gosh.
Glass cracked. I was standing above steel. But so that it was very interesting. I did like that. When I walked into Westminster Abbey, I cried. I
Oh.
was so overwhelmed with the history of all of
Mm-hmm.
it, and I get that here in Virginia too. When I go into these old houses and the houses of our former presidents and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
if these walls could talk to you and tell you what they've seen,
Right.
I think it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Very special memory. We did take, this was a belated Mother's Day present to my mom. I took them to Kensington Palace to the Orangery for tea.
Oh,
And that was lovely. That was just really lovely. I'll never forget the tea. I'll never forget how it tasted. I'll never forget the color of it because it was a berry tea, and you add milk. It was like
yeah.
somewhere between pink and lilac, and
Oh, wow.
it was lovely. Walking around, doing that, and the last thing we had gray skies. Big surprise! A lot of gray skies. Touring, but the last day that we were there, and my sister and my mom wanted to go on the Eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this Rick Steves walking tour by myself. We had
Mm-hmm.
the most amazing weather. It was 70
Mm.
degrees, barely a cloud in the sky, and I was on my own in London, and it was fascinating. I felt 20 years younger, and I just did not want it to end. I could have kept going and going and going and walking and seeing everything, and yeah, it was really fascinating. So we took a tour to the countryside. We did go out to the Cotswolds. I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan.
Yes, love it.
My nickname is the fourth Crawley sister in my family. I deserve to be there. I am
That's
the fourth Crawley
hilarious.
sister.
I love it.
And so we went out to the Cotswolds, and we did go to the village where they filmed the village scene. And we also went to, where did we go? Blenheim Palace. Which was fascinating. That was really great. We did go to the changing of the guard.
Oh,
that was another moment I cried. We were right at the gate, and seeing again gorgeous weather. So those bright red uniforms.
Right.
It was fantastic. It just was unbeatable. So I don't have any one favorite thing. I think there are many more favorite things I would like to go and see.
Right.
So yeah.
You need to have another trip, at least one more trip in your future, but I say multiple future trips.
Yes, definitely. I really would enjoy that. I would turn that down.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, when I go to visit my friend Claire, a couple of the times now, her friends have gotten involved. So like in 2016, her friends, basically all of us were turning 30 and within that year. But for one of her friends in particular, wanted to come to Vegas, so her husband surprised to see Britney Spears. so her husband surprised her and planned the trip, and like 5 of their friends, like including my friend Claire, were coming along for it. And so, since she was already gonna be here in the States, I was like, "Can I just like come out and join you?" She's like, "Yeah." So like that was super fun because I instantly got more British friends. I was like, I got to be the American hanging out with Brits like the whole time, and they were like different. I'm trying to remember where everyone was from, but they all had very different British accents. Like once you hear them side by side, the different regions. And then one guy was Welsh, and he had so much trouble depending on what he was saying. I'd be like, Alan, what, what? Like, like
Sounds
say it
like Sean
again.
Connery.
Yeah, like say it again. Say it slowly.
Right.
Um, so that was super fun. And then when I made it there under the wire in 2018, they had a whole New Year's trip plan where she and her friends do this every year for the last 4 or 5 years, where they rent out a house, like Airbnb type thing. And they rent out a giant house and they all stay there, and they all like cook and play games. And when I say play games, I don't mean like a game that someone bought. They like come up, they create the game. So some of them are like theater people, I'll say, like actors and stuff. And so they're super creative. And so we had, and they were so organized. So there were going to be, what was it? Like, I think there were like 14 of us in a house. I mean, it was a good sized group of
Must
people.
be a big out. Yes.
Yeah. And this house had a giant long, like, banquet table. Like, we all got to sit and eat every meal. Like, we were, at this, like, fancy long table. We all fit at it. And so there were cooking groups. So we were each group was in charge of a meal, like a dinner, and so it was like each, and then one, then another group would be in charge of cleaning that night and whatever. But there were rotations, and it was just like the coolest. It was like, commune living for,
Sounds like
for
so
like
much fun though.
English country commune living, um, and it was really cool. Yeah, they had a night where they called it. We had like a costume night, and it was called "Come as You Aren't." So it was like, well, yeah. So it was whatever, yeah, whatever I guess people think of you or whatever. Like do the opposite. So I dressed up gothic, like all black, like
That
everything.
that would be the opposite. Yes. Yes, of elegant and yeah.
Yes, and it
I can
was
see that.
super. Yeah, and it was like, especially now I'm in Florida, like I'm always wearing bright colors, just everything. So it's like, oh, we're all black, and that was super fun. And there were some people there that, okay, what was this? This was 2018. What was hilarious? There was one Canadian that came as well. Everybody else was British, and it was British, all British, and then one Canadian, one American. And it was so funny because the Canadian and 2 of the Brits who are married to each other, they all decided to dress as Trump supporters, as what they thought Trump supporters looked like. And it was hilarious to see an outside, someone outside of the country trying to replicate basically what they think a hillbilly redneck looks like. Because it was, regardless of how you feel about Trump and politics, the way that they dressed, it was just like, you guys are close, but like we don't roll our jeans up I mean, that's not a thing. So they had like jeans rolled up in a weird way, but they, clearly had on their hats that made them visibly a Trump supporter.
Well, it's interesting what the media portrays,
Right.
over there and
Oh, right.
how we're perceived or anything like that. Yes, it's very different.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, because in general, I feel like even without the politics, in general, Americans are portrayed. Well, the Brits I know, it's like they only hear 2 accents. It's like either super Southern country or Valley girl. They don't hear any other regions. Like,
Interesting. Very interesting.
so,
Okay.
yeah. And so when my friends, like we were the group in Vegas, and I told them like, do an American accent or do my accent. They do super Valley girls. Like,
And I don't know anyone who talks like that now, which is
I
so
know,
funny.
but that's how they hear.
Yeah, that went out before Duran Duran came in. That's.
Right. I know, it's so funny. So yeah, just super fun to see what they. But and it's like how Americans in general, if anyone has any kind of British accent, they're instantly smart instantly better than everyone.
Totally true. Completely true. Yes. I've worked with people who are from across the pond, and
Mhm.
everybody just assumes. And yeah, it's funny that we do that. And probably like you know, in other jobs that I've had, somebody walks in the door and they've got an accent. It's just like, oh, let me talk to you. I just want to just talk to me. I just want to hear it.
I know, I know. Yeah, I don't know if you feel like this, but for me, I always feel like play it cool because I know how much of an Anglophile I am. I'm like, don't like freak them out.
They're a celebrity no matter what they do.
Exactly, exactly. Be cool. Don't tell them how you like all English people.
Very true. It's a stereotype, and we do that. But you know, it's just there's that fascination and that attraction. And
Right.
yeah, I was working an odd job a couple of years ago, if you can believe this or not. I signed up to do photography with the Santa crew at the mall.
Oh.
Ended up having to be more like an elf. And and a woman came up to me to ask me directions to get somewhere, and she was English and she had that accent. And I also have a bit of a quick wit and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
sarcastic. And I just looked at her and I said, you know, I said, I don't normally talk to people, but since you have an English accent, I'll tell you anything you want to know. Just keep talking to him. And she just smiled and she said, what do you want to hear? And I said, just tell me where you want to go. I'll tell you where.
I love it.
You know, the ears pop up. And
Right, right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, please.
What tea do you normally drink? Green, black, white, rooibos?
Okay. I'm totally black tea, pretty much. Yeah. I like some whites when they're, like blueberry and lemon are really good,
Yes.
but pretty much all black tea. I'm particularly fond of ones that have like floral notes or like chives, like spicy cinnamon chives.
Okay.
And green tea, I literally have only found like one so far that I like, and it's actually the one that I sell, but it's the strawberry green tea. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm not a huge green tea person at this time. How about you?
That's I drink. There is like you. There is one green tea that I will drink, and it is green apricot.
Okay, so
But
fruit.
I mix it with black mango.
Oh,
And it's out of
that sounds good.
It's a very, very different blend. Yeah. It tastes similar to a tea that I had. We have a lovely tea room in Annapolis here, and they were serving. It's a Jane Austen tea, and it was called Marianne's Wild Abandon. And I got as close as I could to it by mixing those two teas, and it is very, very good.
That's really cool.
I would send you a sample if I could get your address.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It is very yummy, very yummy. And the second thing I was going to ask you is, what are you watching? What are you watching?
Okay.
What is your Brit fix right now?
So my Brit fix, I unfortunately am now caught up on it, but my favorite thing that is on Netflix, and it is called The Windsors, and it is a parody of the royal family. Have you watched any of it, or have you caught any of it?
Well, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. There are a couple of them. Is this the sort of Shakespearean type?
No. It's like the one where it's straight up like comedy, like them making fun of themselves.
Yes, I have not seen that.
Okay, so that one is hilarious. They started it maybe a few years ago when I first picked up on it, and then they had a newer season which now has like Kate in it, or not Kate. I mean, has a Megan character in it, and it's just so funny because they overdo like every character. So even if you're a royalist like myself, who in normal circumstances will stand up for any of the royals when someone's saying something bad about them. This one, it's like so silly. And so like William is basically like kind of like his character is like an idiot aristocrat with like a heart of gold. Like he's constantly trying to do the like he's a little out of touch. So yeah, I shouldn't say he's an idiot. He's more out of touch. And then Harry, they make me the complete idiot. And like, really? Yeah, and they have Pippa in there. So Pippa Middleton is a character in there, and she's basically constantly plotting, trying to do something to upstage her sister.
Oh my god!
And they constantly talk about her butt. It's so funny. And the Kate character. So I don't know where this stems from, or if this is purely from the show, but the whole joke behind the Middleton family is that they're a family of gypsies, and so like they'll put like gypsy curses on each other and do all kinds of stuff. It's so funny, but they don't have a character for Prince Philip or the Queen. Instead, they'll just get random notes from Grandmama or Grandpapa, and
Oh,
they'll read
goody.
them out loud. But Charles, the guy who plays Charles, I think is really good, and Camilla. It's really fun the way that they take the stories. So that is what I'm watching.
I will put that on my list
Yes,
of things to watch. Sounds
yeah,
right.
it's so silly. It's really fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Very,
So how about you? What are you watching?
oh my gosh. So this season, like Sunday nights, everything comes on. So my husband and I are actually watching Baptiste, which is
Oh,
a
okay.
modern day murder mystery. One of my absolute premier favorite actors, Tom Hollander. Love
Mhm.
him. He can do everything from sweet sentimental to what he's doing in Baptiste.
Mhm.
Call the Midwife, ninth season right now.
Okay.
Huge Julian Fellows fan, not just for Downton Abbey, but
Mhm.
a lot of things that he's done. And I read Belgravia as soon as I came back from London. So
Mhm.
now it's on Epix. And
Oh, cool.
the newest episode is airing every Sunday. So next
Mhm.
weekend is the conclusion next Sunday. So I'm in the middle of that one. I know there's another one I'm thinking. Oh, World on Fire, which is Masterpiece Theater.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I have just massive libraries. I have watched so many things. Some of my favorite ones are actually from the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Things that I've seen, period dramas, and they're just terrific. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to offer on on my website is
Mhm.
that if you haven't seen this, give this a chance.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's some of them are just, I don't know what it is about British television. It's so entertaining.
Right. Mhm.
There's a romance to it.
Yeah, there is for
And
sure.
sometimes the things that where they film, especially if you can watch something by Julian Fellows, he
Right.
the most spectacular scenery and castles and old historic homes and
Mhm.
just it's very very well done. So yeah, if you're ever looking, if you ever go, I need a fix,
Right. Right.
call me. I will recommend something for you,
I love it.
or check out my website.
Right, right. And I'll check the list out. Well,
Yeah.
that reminded me that so before I ever traveled to England, growing up, my mom watched PBS a lot for like the Masterpiece Theater. And I don't recall if it was part of that or whatever, but like Poirot, I know that was a show. When he was he was Belgian, whatever, like a Belgian detective, but they
Mm-hmm.
were in London. And so it was like a British show. But my first trip over there, we happened to be doing some walking tour and they mentioned like this is the building that they shoot like for the outside of Paul Road. And everyone else in my group, bunch of 13, 14-year-olds, like they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't care. I was like, oh my God. I took a picture for my mom. I was like, Mom, like it's Paul Road. Yeah. So I feel like my mom definitely yeah, seeded some British stuff in, unknowingly.
In the early ages, when we went to London, my mom and I had just finished watching Selfridges, the 3 seasons of Selfridges.
Oh, yes. I'd like to go back to that because I caught up with that like late. I don't know which season it was, but I watched it till the end, but I didn't catch it from the very beginning. But I really liked that one. That was
It's
good.
very good. It's well done. And so that was one of my mom said, I want to go by Selfridges
Mm-hmm.
when we go to London.
Yeah.
So again, got there, took the pictures of the front. I left my mom and my sister, and I ran down the street because I had mapped out ahead of time the house where John and
Mm-hmm.
Abigail Adams used to live was about 3 blocks from there,
Oh,
across
really?
the square. So I ran down real quick just to be able to touch the fence
Oh,
and and put my feet on the same, the same stones that were
right,
probably
right.
200 something years ago. So that was fascinating. I love that too. So yeah,
That's really cool.
Selfridges is really good. And costume repeats is another thing that I find fascinating. Sometimes I'll
Mm-hmm.
be watching and go, I've seen that dress before. And
Oh,
there's actually a website called Recycled Costume Dramas or Recycled Movie Costumes.
yeah.
There's a girl who does that, and she'll take submissions. So sometimes I'll like snap pictures. Like, hey, look, I saw it here, and I saw it here too. And she takes them. I thought I was the only weirdo who did.
That's
I'm like, I
amazing.
wonder if anybody else does this.
Yeah, if you watch enough of them, you start seeing the costumes
I've seen
repeat.
them. Yes.
That's really
Yeah.
funny. I like that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, I always sometimes I think I'm the only weirdo out there that does things like that.
Hmm.
I thought I was the only weirdo who wanted to start you know, Anglophilic type tea
Right,
party
right,
kind of company. And then, you know, and like I said, and coming across your flyer just gave me
right.
really
That's
jump out there and
awesome.
try to do this.
Yes, yeah, we're not alone. We just have to find our tribe. We're out there.
We're just a few states apart, that's all.
Right, right. That's so cool. Well, I guess I can, let you get on with the rest of your day, but this was
Let
so
me see
fun.
them a few minutes ago, and they've all crept upstairs to be quiet so I can have this
Mhm.
conversation
Oh,
in our dining room.
yeah, that's great. So, what do your kids think of this? Did you tell them what you were doing?
I don't think they give it a thought at all.
No? Okay. That's hilarious. Do they talk about the tea business or anything? Or they're just like,
Not so much. No. Like I said, my husband's very supportive. When I sat down
mm-hmm.
one day, I became very impassioned. I'm like, and this woman, Amy Mitchell, and she's doing this, and she does this, and I could do this, and blah blah blah. And I always refer to you as that woman, Amy Mitchell, down in Orlando, who does this with how. I mean, you've got this massive title that has to come out of
Love
my
it.
to justify what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's been very supportive. I mean, like I said, my lovely tea.
Yes. I mean, that right there, that he gets you those, yeah,
Yes,
those
yes.
sets, that's amazing.
And I love your shirt. I noticed you got one of those.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so there's my Houses of Windsor tank top. I have a friend that her business down here is like making, custom t-shirts and things. And she does like giant orders for schools and dance companies and stuff. But she also does cool custom orders. So when, I feel like it's easy to find places that will make your shirts with your logo on it, but she makes it like with all I want glitters and sparkles and stuff.
That's fantastic because it's all glittery, right?
Yeah, so it's all glittery. Yeah, so like it's like kind of like white glitter, but everything's fully, yeah,
Oh,
sparkly.
that's great.
Yeah, so just makes it stand out a little more when I'm out in public. So thank you. But yeah, this was awesome though. Well, not just catching up, but getting to know you better in the first place, besides email.
On the phone, but this is the first time we've done the video part too.
Right, right. Yeah. So I got to see Kate Middleton for real today.
Oh, stop it.
I can't stop it because I think I'm like,
I let my bangs grow out last year, and I let my hair this is the longest it's ever been, and I actually got 4 inches cut off the day before they shut the state down.
Oh my gosh.
And I joked with a friend one time. I said, if I just get one Middleton reference, I'm going to go cut it all off. So, so we'll see what happens when COVID lifts. Maybe I'll cut it all off.
So funny. Yeah. Well, you have the look either way.
Oh, you do. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, okay. Well, thank you for being on, Nancy Rodriguez of Cup and Crown say your town again.
It's easier to say Fairfax, Virginia. We're just a little shy of that, and we are Fairfax Station, Virginia. Springfield, Virginia, if anybody knows that better.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And I am Amy Mitchell of Houses of Windsor. Thank you for watching Virtual Tea Time with Amy. And today's special guest is again Nancy Rodriguez with Cup and Crown. And yeah, that's what we got. So I'll put in the comments, how to reach out to Nancy and follow her progress. You can support her company, especially my people that live in Virginia.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.